In the news tonight, 18 cases of COVID-19 recorded. Screening and swabbing continue in lockdown areas. And Central Division vaccination drive starts tomorrow.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Good evening, Fiji. The Ministry of Health has recorded 18 new cases since their last update. In a statement, the Health Ministry says there are 10 cases from 2 related families in Waila, 4 cases are from a household in Tadirua, and 2 cases from a household in Monikoso. Lena Reese reports.
Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says they are early into investigations of these cases and currently no link has been established for 16 of the cases. Dr. Fong says of the remaining 2 cases, one is a contact of the Samambula cluster and the second an extra supermarket worker who tested positive on their final swab in quarantine. The Permanent Secretary for Health says these latest cases involve a number of people who visited well-known shops, grocery stores and other commercial facilities in the area, which will make contact tracing and data they gain from the Care Fiji app very important. Fijians are again being urged to have the app installed and running on their phones with Bluetooth turned on. There has been 1 recovery, which means Fiji now has 86 active cases, with 224 cases recorded in total since our first case in March of last year. Lena Reese, FBC News.
We now join Lena Reese live. Lena, tell us, how is the ministry going about ensuring it picks up any other possible cases?
With a number of cases coming out of Monikoso in Nasino, the Ministry of Health has expanded screening and isolation in this area. The Ministry of Health says that it's also set up screening and isolation zones in Waila as well as in Tadirua. A number of screening facilities have been set up to safeguard health facilities. Now, for instance, the Samambula Health Center has relocated its screening clinic to Suva Primary School. Tadirua Primary School is being used as a screening clinic. This is as Nuffield Health Center has relocated their screening clinic there. And McCoy Health Center, they've relocated their screening clinic to McCoy Muslim School. These screening clinics will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, including weekends. Along with this, the Ministry of Health will continue their rigorous screening, isolation, and testing at Teva.
Thank you, Lena. New screening and isolation zones have been set up in Waila, Nosori and Tadirua. This follows more cases coming out of Monikoso Nasino, with more screening and isolation expanded across the area as well. Aquila Dama has more.
Following the announcement of 7 cases in Samambula last night, family members have been advised on the next step and asked that they go into household isolation. The Health Ministry confirmed today they also have a household isolation site in Tadirua, adding there will be ongoing investigations and responses over the next few days, which would be visible to the public. Another place of interest today is Shop and Save supermarket in Nambua. Police cordoned off the area this morning. Meanwhile, screening continues in Monikoso Nasino today after medical authorities stopped all movement in and out of this area. Yesterday, parts of Monikoso were locked down after some new cases of COVID-19 were registered. A few residents who wanted to leave this morning were told by police officers the area is now in lockdown until further notice. There are 2 sets of clusters within Monikoso, with one being the family of an extra supermarket employee and her neighbors, while another person is related to the Nandali Nosori cluster. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, is urging the public to remain calm as the ministry continues with contact tracing and containment measures. Aquila Dama, FBC News.
Wearing of masks are now mandatory for people living in containment areas. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong says masks are to be worn even when people are outside their own homes. Dr. Fong says a number of recent cases acknowledged that they did not observe proper physical distancing as they moved about the community and attended social events such as grog parties. The Health Ministry is once again pleading with Fijians not to attend social events and not to invite people from outside to their homes, as this is very important to maintain discipline by staying within their bubbles. Dr. Fong says this is very serious and it's crucial to encourage everyone to observe these common sense practices. The Ministry of Health will start vaccinating eligible Fijians in the Central Division from tomorrow. In a statement, the ministry says the vaccination is for those who haven't received their first shot and also those who are due to receive their second jab. The ministry says it has arranged vaccination centers at well-known fixed locations, and they will deploy mobile vaccination teams to other areas as well. It adds Lautoka Hospital has completed 18 days of isolation and is undertaking the 4th round of testing for staff and patients. They also plan to complete the second dose of vaccination for all the staff sequestered in the hospital by next week. Social gathering topped the list of arrests with 51 recorded in the last 24 hours. Acting Commissioner of Police Rusiati Tundravu says altogether 72 people were arrested for breaching curfew orders and health restrictions. Of the 72 cases, 20 were for curfew breaches, with a lone case for crossing containment area. Tundravu says the Southern Division recorded 39 cases, including 6 people who were all found smoking along the Omkar area in Narere. 4 were found intoxicated, while another 4 cases were filed for drinking alcohol at the Kalambu area. 16 people were arrested in the Western Division, including a 34-year-old man who crossed the Barara border from Lautoka to Sambeto in Nandi. 9 cases were recorded in the Northern Division, whereby 4 men, including a juvenile, were found drunk in Savu Savu town, while 5 other cases of intoxication were filed in Lekutumbua. The Central Division recorded no cases. Up ahead, NGO assisting people in the informal sector. And 22-year-old inspires many in Bua. The food ration team led by the Ministry of Economy distributed 4,769 food packs to families in the Suva Nosora containment areas yesterday. Ministry of Economy Coordinator Kamal Gaundar says the distribution targeted families who sent their details and did not receive their ration during the 4-day lockdown period. He adds that to date they have distributed more than 29,000 food packs with the support rendered by military personnel, corrections and police officers, and officers from various government entities and the private sector. He adds they've noted that a good number of Fijians also needed this assistance while distributing the ration in the greater Suva area yesterday. The Ministry of Economy will continue distributing rations to families in isolation and quarantine areas from tomorrow.
The Fijian government has so far distributed more than 20,000 ration packs to assist the households in the Suva Nosora containment areas and also to those homes that are in isolation and in the quarantined areas.
Around 600 hot meals were delivered to families in Tongoru, Wainibindio and Tokotoko in Navua yesterday. A non-government organization known as First Responders is assisting families who work in the informal sector, including carpenters, those who are self-employed and fishermen. Kritika Kumar reports.
First Responders founder Sarah Conrad says these families were identified by the advisory councillors and their hot meals initiative started 3 weeks ago.
We delivered 600 and that brings a total to 900. Next week we will be coming to the west, so there'll be another 100 hot cooked meals in Lautoka.
Advisory Councillor Teresa Weiss says they have been receiving overwhelming support and response from families who have been assisted.
Grateful that they have come out to help our people. As you know that a lot of them are not employed at the moment, and they are very grateful that this initiative has taken place.
First Responders member Shimal Kumar says they have also conducted a baby food drive to assist families with newborn children.
Till today we have already catered for 60 families with baby food, and we are still targeting. Maybe next week we will also deliver stuffs to the needy families in our area.
The drive will continue next week in hope of assisting those who have been struggling to make ends meet during this pandemic. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
You don't need to be qualified to run a business. All you have to do is work hard. That's the view 22-year-old George Patrick Marama holds and is a testament to this. Marama owns and runs the only bakery in Kumbulau, Bua.
He does this twice a day or when the demand is high. George Marama bakes bread for villagers in the district of Kumbulau in Bua.
My father gave me some money to set up this bakery last year. When COVID-19 happened, we closed down and just reopened in March.
Only 22 years of age, Marama bakes all kinds of pastries and learned the skill from his father.
My father used to own Riverside Bakery in Nosori, and since class 3, I started learning how to bake.
Marama sells long loaf bread at $1 each from his home, and he delivers to villages as well.
I used to bake 6 to 8 dozens bread a day before COVID-19 hit, but now I bake only 3 to 4 dozens a day. I also get orders, so most times I'm baking from night to morning.
He has this advice for fellow young Fijians.
If you want something so bad, work hard for it. I didn't learn baking at USP or FNU, but I know it well and now run a bakery.
Marama runs the bakery by himself. Eleanor Turangai, FBC News.
Concerns were raised today as there was no bus services for the containment zones in the Central and Western Divisions. When contacted by FBC News, the Fiji Bus Operators Association says there will be no bus services at all for the Central and Western Divisions on Sundays. Association President Nisar Ali Shah says this is being done to help the government fight the spread of COVID-19. Shah says apart from Sundays, the operations in the Central Division will be normal. He says people who need to travel to access essential services and shopping have 6 days to do so, adding that also operating on Sunday is not economically viable during this time.
No bus, no movement. Basically, that's the understanding of ours. Then the reason we're not running the bus service so people can stay home with their families and to avoid this deadly virus to come into their houses. So we need to support the Ministry of Health and the government's initiative.
Most villages around the country are now on their 5th Sunday of lockdown. For villagers in Tailevu, locking down their boundaries is their only option to ensure the contagious virus does not reach them and their families. Sanya Nimboila reports.
No visitors allowed. This has been the procedure for weeks now in Namata Tailevu.
The sole reason we are here day and night is that we want to keep our village safe from COVID-19. This is to ensure that the villages are protected.
For villages of Mokani, strict protocols are in place for them to adhere to, and the village youth are ensuring this is followed.
We do around 300 plus screening each day. Consisting those 300 plus screening, we screen the villagers we also screen villagers who went up to the farm, do the farming, those who went to work, and those who are going to town to buy do the shopping.
Community work, social gathering and other village activities are currently being halted in all villages in support of the government's effort to fight COVID-19. Police patrols are also visible in villages as they work to ensure every COVID-19 restriction protocols are followed. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
To serve the people of Fiji has always been the motivation for former Acting Police Commissioner Ravi Narayan during his 37 years in the force. It has been an illustrious career that saw him work his way up the ranks. But Narayan wasn't supposed to be a police officer as he had an overseas scholarship for teaching. Filipina Caso with tonight's successful Fijian.
His mother wanted him to be a school teacher like his siblings. However, Narayan decided to opt for another career after his best friend persuaded him to attend a Fiji Police Force recruitment drive in 1977. Without his family knowing, he later got accepted into the force. At this time, Narayan was still a Form 5 student at Vasist Muni College in Navua.
So I informed my mother, she was a bit upset, and my family was upset, my brothers and sisters, they were all upset because they wanted to gain a higher education. But I think by that time I was decided that I should join the force.
Narayan graduated from the force a few months later and was posted at the Nandi police station, but his aim was to join the Criminal Investigations Department. He finally got the chance to join the CID and he excelled.
I was given opportunity to go for further training. I did a detective training, and then I was promoted to corporal and sergeant. My interest then started falling on the prosecution.
In 1997, he attended a detective's training course in Australia as an observer and later assisted in the establishment of the detectives training school at the Fiji Police Force Academy in Nasova. His fine work continued to catch the attention of his superiors, and Narayan was given more opportunities to travel. He attended an FBI training in the US and other workshops in Australia, Japan, France, Nepal and Ghana. Following this, he started to climb the ranks.
And then I was posted as Division Crime Officer South, and then to West, and from there to Director CID, and then to police headquarters on many positions like Director Community Policing, Director Planning, and then I was promoted to the Assistant Commissioner, and then held the position of Chief of Staff.
In 2013, he reached the pinnacle of his career as he was the acting police commissioner. And now looking back, Narayan stated that he never regretted attending the recruitment drive.
Life in the police force was, for me, was very enjoyable. The journey from 1977 to 2014 was excellent. I've never regretted. I've worked hard, and I made sure that I served the people well.
A year later, he volunteered to retire from the force and opened his private investigators firm. Narayan decided to close the business a few years later as he wanted to focus on personal things. The 64-year-old, who is married with 2 children, is now enjoying retirement life, which is more centered on his family and religion. Philip Naikaso, FBC News.
In sports, chance for Robert Elder. And Botia issued a red card in Champions Cup final. This and more after the break. The Kaiviti Silktails put up a strong performance but fell short to second-placed Hills Bulls in their Ron Massey Cup clash. The Silktails lost 30-20 at Mascot Oval yesterday. Josiah Ramboiliku scored in the 3rd minute to put them in the lead. 5'8" Sunir Nruma got his first 2 tries in the competition, and robust centre Inoke Watsuturanga also scored a double. The loss did not dampen their spirits as they now focus on the next match. National archer Robert Elder has a chance to qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games if he competes in a national competition in Australia. Elder, along with George Fong and Nathan Kirk, are all trying to qualify by merit to the Olympics in the recurve division. Team Fiji chef de mission Patrick Bauer says they will try and assist Elder to get game time.
Robert is in Australia at the moment and working hard towards getting into the nationals for Australia. However, there were limited places available. We're trying our darndest to make sure from our part we can facilitate so that he can get into the competitions in Australia.
The Crusaders handed Super Rugby Australia champion the Reds an embarrassing reality check in their Trans-Tasman clash last night. The Reds were handed a whopping 63-28 loss at Suncorp Stadium. The Storm have overtaken the Eels in 2nd place in the NRL ladder. This is after they registered a smashing 34-10 win over the Raiders last night. Generally, cloudy conditions and showers were experienced over the country today. In the west, occasional showers and isolated thunderstorms. Eastwards, from Pacific Harbour to Suva, light showers were experienced throughout the day. In the north, heavy showers this morning, followed by a couple of showers this afternoon. At sea, northwest to southwest winds 10 to 15 knots. Winds becoming southerly from tomorrow. Moderate seas, moderate southerly swells. The next low tide is at 9:53 p.m. with high tide at 4:13 a.m. tomorrow. Sunrise will be at 6:28. Outlook for tomorrow, occasional showers with a few thunderstorms and isolated heavy falls over Vanua Levu, the northern and western parts of Viti Levu, Yasawa and Mamanuva Group, Lau and Lomaiviti Group and Tabiuni. For Tuesday, similar conditions can be expected. Recapping our main stories. 18 cases of COVID-19 recorded. Screening and swabbing continue in lockdown areas, and Central Division vaccination drive starts tomorrow. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we're asking, has the Suva Nosori curfew helped contain COVID-19? Visit our FBC website to answer. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos by email to fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also download our app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news for tonight. You stay safe. Wadimanda.